Matthew 22. So when kids come to the Bible as a little kid, even sometimes an adult new believer, the Bible seems overwhelming. I mean, this whole big book, and you have Genesis through Revelation, and this is how I'm going to learn about my God and my God's character. And then after I learn about God and his character, then I'm learning who I am supposed to be in light of this God and this character. And it just seems huge and overwhelming. And it can seem, when you start getting into, I really want to please God, how do I do that? Then the Bible can feel like a list of commandments, a list of do's and don'ts, a list of rules. But in Matthew 22, the Pharisees come to Jesus and they're trying to trick him up, and they're trying to throw him off his groove. But Jesus does what any great teacher does. He turns into a teachable moment. He's just not shaken by these questions. And in Matthew 22:36, Jesus replied, they say, "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" And he replies, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. The second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. And all the law of the prophets hang on these two commandments." And so Jesus is like, it's not complicated. Don't sit here and examine all the commandments. It's not complicated. Love God, love others. And then he says, everything else, Genesis through Revelation, hangs on these two things. So when we approach kids ministry, we want to simplify God and the Bible. We don't want to make him this mysterious God out there that there are tons of rules that kids just reject rules in the worst way. And so we don't want to make God all about this huge list of do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. Jesus himself says everything hangs on these two things: love God and love others. So our job is, 1, to model that, and 2, to teach that. I'm going to make it really easy for you. This week, I have placed the payment on the order for our new t-shirts. When we get to the new building, we'll have t-shirts. On the back of our t-shirt, it will say, love God, love others. So if you feel like your lesson's not going stellar and the kids aren't getting it, just turn around. It'll be right there, so they can't miss it. It'll be on the walls, it'll be on our shirts, it'll be everywhere. So hopefully they will spend 13 years inundated with this message of love God, love others. If they get all the way through Grace Kids and they don't know who Noah is, it's okay. As long as we have modeled and taught love God, love others, love God, love others. The stories that we teach are vehicles to teach them about God or how to love God. The principles that we teach are vehicles to teach them about God or how to love God, about others or how to love others. So all that we teach, it's just like Jesus using parables to teach. When we teach the story of Noah, it's not about them knowing who he was and what he did. It's about the vehicle of, what did I learn about God and how do I love God through this story? So our mission in Grace Kids is to love God and love others. As adults, loving God looks like investing in ourselves. So Monday through Saturday, we need to be pouring in ourselves, having our own Bible time, our own prayer time, our own personal investment in ourselves, so that when we come on Sunday and we tell these kids to love God, they're not like, yeah, but you don't. And I can tell, because kids can smell it. They can smell fear, they can smell love, they can feel it from us, and they can smell it from us. So if we don't have a personal relationship with God in which we are investing in ourselves in God every day throughout the week, the kids will know, and they won't accept us modeling and us teaching to love God and love others. Another way that we show love to God is by attending. I'm looking at, you guys are super faithful, so I'm kind of speaking to the air right now. But so it's super important that we attend one and serve one. When we move to the new space, most of the other teams are super excited to go to one service, because that means less.
One service.
When we move, we'll combine the groups and we'll be at one service. Lots of teams are excited about that. I'm not super excited about that, because I've learned to love the ability to invest in the kids and then come and invest in myself. So that'll be an adjustment for a lot of us, and some of you, Rhonda, Heather, some of you are amazing and go way above and beyond and are willing to be in with the kids every single week. But my job going forward is not to allow you to do that anymore. My job is to make sure you're not burning out. And so if you can invest in yourself Monday through Saturday, and you can tell me on Sunday, I'm good to go, I'm ready to go again, then that's fine. But if you are starting to drown because you're not able to attend anymore with the 1 service model instead of the 2 service model, we need to adjust on that. And so I would beg you to come to me before you are burnt, when you can feel yourself like, this season of life, I just can't give as much. I beg you to come to me at that point and not come to me when you're like, I'm trashed, I gotta quit. Like, please come to me before that point and say, Beth, my season of life has changed. I can't give as much as I used to give. Can we make arrangements? Because it does take me a couple weeks to replace you. You guys are fantastic, and you do so much that when you're not there, it takes a couple weeks to find someone to fill your shoes. That rolls into loving others. As adults, loving others looks like showing up. If it's your day to show up, you gotta show up, or you gotta get a sub. We have some that will no show, no call, and when that happens, somebody else fills in and makes it work, and then we move on and we never really look back. But as we'll say a little bit later, like, the team isn't as strong if somebody is jumping in last minute, and emergencies happen. But on the whole, showing love to your team is being prepared, being on time, showing up, and investing in the team. So that is our mission, is to love God, love others. We'll be modeling it through our team so that when the kids walk in, they can see the 2 adults in the room have a loving relationship with each other, and they're going to see that modeled. So now I need to get you all up, because this is kids ministry, so we don't really sit on our butts much. So I have 2 puzzle, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 of you. Let's just go to 1 puzzle table. I think this one. We're going to go to the puzzle table. Don't move until I say go. Okay. And that's what you have to do with kids, right? Okay, so I'm gonna treat you like kids, because I don't really know how to teach tall people. So I'm just gonna pretend that you're little people. When we go to the table, everybody will have a stack of puzzle pieces. And then I would like you to work together to put your puzzle together. So, well, last night we had 2 teams, and the first one got dessert. I can't offer you that. But on your mark, get set, go. You got it, Wanda.
All right.
Yay. Woo!
I was missing a piece.
Oh.
Oh. That's okay.
Oh.
But there's purpose.
So there's nothing more discouraging. There's nothing more discouraging than one piece of the puzzle not missing. And so when we come together on a Sunday morning and the whole month long, the whole team working together, it only works if all the pieces are present. And if one of the pieces isn't there, somebody's going to say, that's okay, it's all right, I got it. Somebody's going to have a great attitude, somebody's going to cover it. But it works best, and it makes us have most joy when all the pieces are there. So that is just to show us our importance to the big picture. Every piece of the puzzle has a purpose in the big picture, and every piece of the puzzle is important to the big picture. And while you think they did it, they got along without me, you need to know that it's disappointing, it's discouraging, it's not as good without you as it is with you. So
Great lesson.
that was my, yeah. All right. Next is Tabitha, Donna. These are updated manuals. Here's my speech about the manual. You can read it. That's as far as we're going into the manual. The manual has been updated with policies and procedures that when we get a lot closer to our move-in date, we will take this manual over there and we will walk through what those policies and procedures look like over there. I didn't write the policies and procedures specific to this building. While most of them will work here, they're not tons different than what we're doing here. They're written for when we're there. So if you read through the bathroom policy, it's written for how we will function there, not as much how we will function here. So if you should have a training guide in addition to your manual. If you look at the back of the training guide, it has the floor print for the new building. So eventually, when we go out into the commons, you'll see another floor plan that shows the entire building. This is jumping in at phase 2. At phase 2, there will be doors right here that will have a straight shot into our check-in kiosks. At phase 1, we might have to wiggle a little bit through the building using the current entrance to the building. But eventually this is the plan for the entrance to be there and then check-in to be straight ahead. So parents will open the doors and 12 o'clock they will see their check-in kiosks. There will be someone there standing at the check-in kiosks helping parents navigate. Once the parents have practiced, it will take about 15 seconds, 10 seconds per kid, 15 seconds per family to get a family through electronic check-in. So the big ask is it going to bottleneck? Yes, a little bit, but the trade-off is it's worth it for safety and security of our kids. Having electronic check-in is going to communicate to these families that we love them and we're willing to keep their kids safe and that we have safety measures in place. And so while yes, it's going to bottleneck a little bit, yes, it's going to be a little bit more work for everybody involved, it's going to be very worth it. So in this new building, after check-in, you will come in through the hallway. There'll be a small classroom off to the left, and then you'll have this big hallway that all the other classrooms will kind of stem off of. So God has blessed us with a facility that is big enough for us to have 5 groups instead of 3 groups. In our 3 groups, we're lumping kids together that don't learn the same way right now. We have a kindergartner who is 5 who doesn't read, and we have a 5th grader who's bored silly in the same room together. And so what we're seeing is a lot of kids are just getting bored with and disengaging from God. Therefore, we as a church family are not loving others. We're not showing love to these kids. So breaking them apart into 5 different groups will keep them much more age appropriate. So currently you have a nursery. In your nursery are ages 0 to 3. When we get to the new building, God has allowed us 2 rooms for these same age kids. So we'll have one group called Start. Those will be babies 0 to 18 months. At 18 months is really where they're up on their feet and they're starting to cruise. You know, there's the 12 months, they're starting to toddle, but at 18 months they just take off and mama's scared, and it's just a whole new level at 18 months. So somewhere around the 18-month mark, the kids will move up into the next group. That will be called Start. Start will have 18 months to 3-year-olds. Those kids learn through exploring, they learn through being active, they learn through wiggling. So our 18 to 3-year-olds non-potty trained will be in one group together called Start. Once the 3-year-old is to the point where they are going to the bathroom independently and they're not needing us to touch their clothing as much, they can muscle their pants up by themselves, then they will move into the 3 to kindergarten classroom, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and some 6-year-olds will be in there if they're in kindergarten, just depending on but really, the purpose of pulling kindergarten out of our elementary is because their reading level is not the same. So you ask them to turn in their Bibles to Matthew, and they're like, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And the teacher's like, come on, like they're at a different learning and reading level. And so we're gonna pull our kindergartners down with our preschoolers, but we can't say that because parents get so offended. A kindergartner is not a preschooler. So what we're having here is we've called the group preschoolers, and any parent of a kindergartner is like, well, my kid's not in preschool anymore. They need to go to SwitchPoint. Well, and SwitchPoint's been nice and vague because it's called SwitchPoint, not elementary. So by removing the ages in our names, it's going to be a learning curve for us to call them Start, Ignite, Accelerate, Adventure. Can you tell I've been practicing? And Off-Road. But doing that will allow kids to feel like they are in a better grouping. So you'll have your 3-year-olds to kindergarten, and then your elementary class will be called Adventure. Adventure will have your 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders. These kids all have very similar learning styles. They are all reading much more confidently, and so it's much easier to open a Bible with them and have them actually read and see the verse. So you're no longer telling them what the Bible says, but they're exploring it for themselves, which is a really fun and exciting age group. And then our next group I'm excited about is our 5th and 6th graders. To date, we don't have any support system at GracePoint for our 6th graders. SwitchPoint goes up to 5th grade, and we always allow 6th graders to keep coming because there's nothing, but they don't want to because they're 13 and there's a 5-year-old in the room. And so it's just kind of very different age groupings. And then Catalyst starts at 7th grade. So for years we have had nothing for our 6th graders. And it has, I can't really talk about it because I get a little upset. Not at anybody or just at the fact that we haven't been able to do it. And it's really nobody's fault. It just, we're gonna have to stretch and make it happen there because I'm not okay with our 6th graders not having a support system through our church. So there it will be called Off-Road. We'll pull the 5th graders who are already starting to get a little off-road. They're starting to change in 5th grade. So we'll pull them up with the 6th graders, and those tweens will work on really figuring out what the Bible means to them and owning the Bible. So in your manual, on pages 4 and 5, I've kind of described their phase of life and their spiritual abilities and their spiritual stages. So you can look through that. You can look through that in your own time, and if you read through some of those and you say, you know, Beth, I think I want to switch groups. Like currently I'm working with babies, but I think elementary is more my forte. Or let me at those punks. I want to be near those middle school punks. Like I just love the middle school punks. Then have at it, because I don't. No, I really like, give me preschool every day, but no, middle school, no way. No. When I was a special ed teacher, I taught kindergarten through 5th grade, and my best favorite class were my kindergartners. Miss Beth, tie my shoe. No problem, I love it. Miss Beth. And these 5th graders, I mean, the boys were taller than me for one, and I don't like teaching people who are taller than me. The boys were all taller than me, and just the attitudes was just like, whoa. So mine is almost there, so pray for me as I get ready to parent this, because God's got some work to do on my heart to get ready for parenting through this age, because I'm just like, ugh. Anyway, so in here, there's kind of an explanation of the ages and phases and the spiritual abilities. And if you want to move groups, now's the time for you to say, you know what, I signed up for nursery, you're switching it up on me. So while we're switching everything, fruit basket upset, I would like to move to a different age group. So if that's you, there'll be sign up sheets on the back. You can sign up, and then as you read through this, if you think about it more and you're like, I'm more about the 0 to 18 than the 18 to 3. Like I just want to sit and rock. I don't want to move. So whatever age group you're more interested in, I'd like you to sign up for your age groups. As I recruit new people, I'm not going to give them as much choice as I give you, because you guys have been faithful with us for years. And so you get first pick of your age group, and then at some point I'm going to be like, I only have this slot left. This is where I need you. So the new recruits, I'm going to put the new recruits in around you. You get first pick. I know, cool, right? Perks of like being here the whole time. All right, new worship model, new learning model. So our Accelerate and Adventure will start worshiping together. Currently, we have more of a Sunday school model where when the children come in the building, their parents bring them into nursery, they shove them in, the kid never sees the other kids in the building. So friendships are not forming. Children are part of our church. They're not like tomorrow's church or the future church. Children are our current church, and they're tomorrow's leaders of the church, but they're part of today's church. And so with our current facility, where we put them each in their rooms and then their parents pick them up, there's chaos in the commons, like we've really outgrown the space, so the parents is like, rah! And then the children start running because they feel overstimulated with all the legs. I mean, really, think about it, like if you're down here, you see like a bazillion legs. So I would want to run too. But when our children run, somebody looks down at them and scowls because it's inappropriate to run in the house of God. So, and while that's true, it's just, they're just kids being kids. They're not trying to be irreverent. So, two things that will help that when we get to the new building. Again, if you look at the back of your sheet, there's this big, large room. In that big, large room, typically our elementary will be housed in there for their learning time, but the accelerators, the preschoolers, will come over to that room and they will sing together. And so there will be movement and there will be traveling and chaos in the halls, but it's okay because we'll be in the back, and the people who scowl at our chaos, Andrew can deal with them. We'll be in the back and we'll be moving because that's what we do with kids. So groups will be moving from one room to another, and our preschool kids will come in and they will sing worship songs with the elementary kids, and they will take an offering together and they will learn communion together. We will be teaching all about communion with the groups and explaining it there where we can stop and we can talk to them about what scripture says, where here it's more of a meditation, and then we pass the elements and the kids are like, I mean, when I was a kid, I was taught that if you took the elements and you weren't saved, you could be struck dead right there in church. Boom. So there's a lot of teaching that needs to happen with kids around communion, and our typical curriculum doesn't address it, or it addresses it once a year, or it addresses it. And so this new model will allow us to address it a lot more, so that when they get to big church, they're ready. They know what this is all about. So this big room before and after service will be a place for the kids to fellowship with each other. Now, I say the word fellowship, the kids hear the word run and play, right? That's really what it's going to look like. I'm saying fellowship, but really the way kids make friendships with each other is playing together, roughhousing, running, and seeing each other. So I anticipate before and after class, well, not before, but after class, mom picks up her kid from this room, picks up her kid from this room, and then sees this other mom that she wants to touch base with. They will come in this room and they will allow their kids to run in that room. It is a no scowl zone, okay? No scowling in that room. That is where the kids are allowed to run. This right here, this is Kids Center. The rest of the building can be the house of God. This right here is where kids can be kids. It's like, it's not quite Chuck E. Cheese, but
enough for them to like run around.
So this room here is a little bit smaller than the room you're sitting in, ratio-wise. It's probably like this group of chairs and that group, so it's probably like 2/3 of this room. So yes, it's a really nice, I mean, God has really, really blessed us over there. That space, God's just gonna have a heyday. It's gonna be great. So yes, this room is big enough for running, and we won't have chairs and a lot of permanent furniture in there. The kids will be taught sitting on carpets and sitting on the floor, because there just won't be a lot of, because this is going to be our most multifunctional room. So before and after service, they'll be in there. We will also start running around 70 minutes. So your ask, all of the ask is going to come up a little bit. You'll feel it when you read through the instruction manual. One of the worst things you can do with kids is have non-structured time. If you've spent any time with kids, you know that to not have structure, they just run around in circles and wreak havoc. So our lessons, our structured planned time is going to go from 60 minutes up to 70, possibly 75, depending on what you're feeling, how fast the parents are getting to you. So we will seek to start about 5 minutes before the adults start. And that's going to look like a whole group activity, kind of like the puzzle, where the teacher has planned some sort of beginner activity, and the kids come into the room and there's something already going on. We're not waiting for the adults like we do here. There's something already going on. And so as parents drop off kids, there's not these kids like having chaos. There will be this beginner activity, and the kids will be working on that together. And then about the same time that the adults are starting, we'll move the preschoolers into the elementary. They'll sing and they'll have their worship time together, and then they'll come back. And then we're going to try to run 5, 10, maybe even 15 minutes after the adults for the purpose of the adults. If you look at the building, the sheet with the whole building is out on the table for you to look at later, but the auditorium's over here. Parents will have to walk through the auditorium, through the commons, down one hallway. Let's see, this hallway right here. Every parent is coming through one door. They're not going through 3 different doors anymore. Every parent is coming through one door. So yes, this is going to bottleneck. And that is okay, because that will be much more safe. They will come, and then there's going to be a little bit of bottlenecking in this hallway as they come, and they switch the tags and they get their kids, and then they have to turn around, and it's a 2-way street in here, not a 1-way street, so it will bottleneck a little bit. So it'll take parents a little bit longer to pick up their kids. So the ask is going from 60-minute service time to a 70-minute service time. And I think, while for me to say it out loud that I'm asking you to serve for 70 minutes now instead of 60, it feels like I'm asking for 10 more minutes, but you're going to enjoy your whole time better because the kids will be less crazy if we structure the 70 minutes. So that's our new worship style. That's our new learning model. I've already moved into the ask. So the ask, we're going back to our own team huddle. So we will gather in the hallway near the bathrooms at the new building 30 minutes before service starts. And so this will be kind of like clockwork. If you're one of those people that comes and you need to like take your coat off and get to the bathroom, and you want to go out to cafe and get your own little coffee, and you might need to adjust your timeline to get there whenever, however long your morning routine is for you. But 30 minutes before the set service time, which I don't know if it's been determined yet, but let's just say that service time is at 10:30 there. Okay, go time for Grace Kids is at 10. 30 minutes before service, go time. So we will huddle up in the hallway. That hallway time is a time for me to look at everybody and know who's serving today. It's a time for me to kind of make sure all of our people are there and that we have the full puzzle ready to go for the morning. It's a time for me to give you any announcements that will be happening in service that you may miss. And it's a time for us to pray together as a team that God would come and work in and through us in the morning. So it seems like an extra ask. It seems kind of annoying, but that team time together is very important for the morning, especially as we spread out a little bit more, and some people are going to feel like, oh, I'm the room way down the hall and I don't see anybody. And we as a team, since we'll have a Grace Kids wing, we won't see the adults as much. on your serving day, which is another reason why I'm asking you to make sure you serve and attend. Because when you're in the Grace Kids wing, you're going to get stuck. Like, all the parents are going to be using that hallway, and it's not going to be like here where your classroom's empty. You can easily get out and have access to the adults. That's not going to happen. So your fellowship on your serving day will be the rest of your team. You won't see the other people in the church on your serving day. And so that team huddle is really important for us to just see each other and see if someone's face is weary and they need encouragement and they need a hug or they need a prayer. So team huddle seems annoying. I promise it's vital to the way we are going to work. And the reason it's 30 minutes before, so team huddle will take about 5 to 10 minutes together, and then you'll go to your room, you'll have about 10 minutes. The kids will be starting to trickle in, and then it's pretty fast, that 30 minutes before service. The expectations for you are laid out on page 7, and again, I've upped the ask. And so you'll see probably on page 6 too, if you are currently a helper, you are fired. So Addie, your job is gone. Michelle, your job is gone. If you have been a helper, your job is gone. When we get to the new building, we will be changing our verbiage for the kids to hear. It will be a learning curve even for me, because I've said teacher helper for 7 years, so it'll be a learning curve, but everybody will be called a leader. I don't care if you are the teaching leader. We'll have teaching leaders, and then we'll have leaders. Let's see, Michelle will be a leader until I make her a teacher. Michelle will be a leader, and then Addie will be a youth leader. So a youth leader is someone who is under 18, which means they can't be the second adult in the room, okay? Oh yeah, you are, aren't you? You and Callie just kind of, okay. So a youth leader will be like our Camilla. She is a great youth leader. And then we will have junior leaders. Junior leaders are our 3rd and 4th graders, possibly even those 5th and 6th graders. So these are like itty bitty kids who we are in training to be our youth leaders. So they still have a group to go to on a Sunday morning, but on a Sunday morning they're going to stand up beside Tabitha and help lead in worship. The kids are going to lead worship with Tabitha. They are going to pass the offering plates for each other. They are going to pass the communion baskets for each other. They are going to be at the kiosk helping greet and helping escort people through the building and do all of that. And so there will be several levels, but you will all be leaders regardless of your role. Even the precious lady who comes in and helps me wash toys on a Wednesday morning, leader. Okay, because anytime you're doing anything around a kid, they are watching. And if they are watching, whether you like it or not, you are leading. And so we're going to be trying to change our verbiage over to being leaders. All right, next is opportunities to prepare for the new building. So we have several things that everybody has said, Beth, how can I help you? Well, Beth is an awful delegator, so I don't even know how you can help me. But I really tried to rack my brain, and here are some ways that I would love your help. The first and probably biggest is in recruiting, because I'm with the kids every week, so I'm not in here seeing new fresh blood. No, I'm not in here seeing new people who haven't found their spot yet at GracePoint, and it's really about that. It's really about seeing the person who comes in each week and they sit there and you're seeing them not connect with anybody, and you're seeing them kind of like, this is my church, but it's not really my family yet. And so asking someone to serve with you on your team is inviting them into your family for dinner. I mean, if you think of it that way, it's not like, here, I want you to give up your time, I want you to do extra work, I want you to serve these kids. It's an opportunity for us to invite them deeper into the family. And so you think of the people who are sitting in this auditorium who may or may not like kids, but they're kind of like walking the perimeter of our home, and they see the kids and they're just not sure, but they just need to be asked. And I'm not always available to ask them because I'm either working with the kids, working with our team, working with our families, and it's really hard for me to get out here and ask people. And I've tried having you all take my place, and that doesn't work either. So not because you can't do it, I just can't help myself, guys. Like, some of you will say, I'll take your role, go sit in church. And I love the kids so much. And I promise you that while I tell you, you have to be in service and I don't do it, please know I'm investing in myself Monday through Saturday, and I'm okay, really. I sit there throughout the week while I'm sweeping or while I'm doing something and I listen to the sermon. It's not the same as being together for corporate worship. And so sometimes you'll see me come in and I'll usually bawl my eyes out during the worship service because there is something amazing about being together in the adult service. And so I promise you, as quick as I can, I will get myself back into adult service occasionally. But my heart is with the kids. That's where I receive the most joy here on a Sunday morning. And so I'm okay. I know lots of you look at me and you're like, you don't ever go to church, but I do. I even sometimes sneak up to other churches, and I go to other churches so that I can invest in myself. But I need your help recruiting, and it sounds like this. Hey, I've seen you here for a couple weeks. I was wondering if you have been serving on any team, and if not, I would love for you to serve with me. And so this isn't just an invitation to the team at large, but invite people to work with your group. So I work with the 0 to 18 months. I work with the 0 to 18 months. Would you like to come and work with me? I'd really like to get to know you. And Beth keeps me in the back. So the best way for me to get to know you, I've used that line, guys, and because it's true, like, I look at people and I'm like, oh, I'd really like to get to know her. Well, I'm just gonna have to get her on my team. That's really the only way I get to know people. Andrew will come home and he'll be like, have you met so-and-so? They've been coming 4 months. And I'm like, no, if you're not on my team, I don't know you. And so really we have an opportunity to invite people, like, come serve with me. I'd love to get to know you. And then you can send them to me, or better yet, bring them to me and say, hey, Beth, I just met Addie, and Addie is interested in learning more about serving with me in the blankety blank room, or is interested in learning about Grace Kids and finding a place where they can fit. So help me recruit, guys. We need lots more people, and it's God's problem, not ours, but he needs us to be the mouthpiece and do the asking for him. On February 15th, we're having a parents training where I'm telling parents some of the changes, and I'm also giving parents a little pep talk. Our teachers have asked that I give parents a little pep talk, and so I'm giving parents a little pep talk. So one, pray for me, and two, we need help with childcare. We have 2 groups we'll be running. The 0 to 4-year-olds will be just babysitting. I have 2 couples that are currently in there, and so if anybody else wants to jump on board with that, I think I have the Brownlees and the Eschenbrenners in there. And then Josh and Josie Meredith will be working with our 5 to 5th graders. And they will be doing a game night with them at the beginning, and then they'll serve pizza and turn it into a movie night while we allow the parents to go out for a Valentine's date. I know, a little manipulative, but I think it's gonna work. No, really, we as a church, Grace Kids is here to support families. So anytime we can do things like that, where we can have people who are at a season of their life where they can take a Valentine's date on a Tuesday, or they're not strapped to get that babysitter. Anytime we as a church family can provide a blessing like that to our families, that's what church is all about. It's about one generation who is in a season to serve, whether they be the high school, college singles, or the empty nesters coming together and serving the young families. And then the young families, they have a responsibility too to be serving others. So I am overwhelmed and I can't do extra childcare right now because I'm up to my head in it, but I can bring a meal to someone because I'm already making a meal for my family, so I can just double and make a meal. Or I can invite the college kids into my home to do laundry or to sit on a real couch instead of a dorm infested, so So it's all about teaching the young families what they can do in their season, and then other people can do things in their season. February 15th, I'm having this parent training. I need more people, especially with my elementary kids, to help run that game and movie night.
Tuesday?
It should be a Friday.
Friday?
February 15th. It's a Friday. Another opportunity to help prepare for the new building, painting the walls. We're going to have a basic color on the walls, but then in addition to that, there's going to be some fun graphics. One of the kids asked, I don't know if you were here, we had this question answer time, and Andrew was up there and he's like, anybody have any questions? And this sweet little guy goes, is GraceKids going to be epic? Yes. The kids want GraceKids to be epic. So I have some artists who have some great ideas, way better than myself, and so they are going to be putting some fun stuff up on the walls for us. We'll have this, I don't know, we're shooting for a 4th grade boy mentality. I feel like if we can hit the 4th grade boy, girls just kind of go with the flow, little kids just kind of go with the flow, but our hardest kids are your 4th grade boy, then the 5th grade boy, the 6th grade boy. So if we can target that audience, then I think we can catch most of our kids with the wall artwork. So if you would like to help with the artistic side of painting, see Lynn Mariello, you don't know who she is, I'll point you to her. If you are good with furniture and you would like to help me outfit the rooms with furniture, we're buying area carpets, we're buying rocking chairs, we're buying more changing tables, we're going from 3 rooms to 5, so there's furniture to be bought. And so if you are good with putting all those pieces together and you want to help me hunt for deals, see me. Inventory analysis, I need 1 worker in each room, not switch point. I'll bring your chairs and your cabinet. That's all I give them. I give them chairs. Some days I give them a table. But I need a nursery worker and a preschool worker to help me go through the toys that are there and say, the kids hate this, Beth. Don't bother moving it. Or, you know, this is kind of missing. Or this toy is old and the kids are bored with it. And so if we could do an analysis before we have to pack and move, that'd be awesome, because we don't need to move anything that we don't use and we don't like. Packing the week before. So Go Week is going to be almost like a suicide week. The best I understand it, we're having church here on a Sunday morning, and then we are having church there on a Sunday morning. So that, between the lines, is going to be a full week for many of the teams. Our team is not as complicated as the tech team. Like, I can't imagine, I can't even wrap my head around that. Our team is just like carrying our toy box from one room to the other room. Like, it's really not that bad, but the more hands, the better, because those cabinets, if you've ever opened the scary cabinets in the room, it's a lot of little things in there that do need to be packed up, and then it does need to be unpacked. And then we need to be prepared to wash down all of the toys when we get there, because moving will have a lot of hands on it that I don't know if they will or will not sanitize before they go over there. And so everything will have to be washed once it's there. So that week, if you have a spare hour, I will take it.
Where does the church meet?
I don't have the exact moving date yet. God is blessing us. God is blessing us with enough money that it's like, do we do this before we move? Do we not? Do we? And so I think we're in that wiggle room right now where April is the target. We're trying to get there by April. And I am trying to say, please, not Easter, do not. But my husband loves life itself, but he is very comfortable in chaos. He's very comfortable in dreaming big, and he's very comfortable in problem solving. I am not. I am a planner. And so please do not give me a first service on a day in which, you know, Lord willing, we'll have a lot of unsaved visitors in the room, and I just don't want distractions from the gospel on that day. So I'm doing my dead level best to get us over there before Easter so that we at least have 1 practice week. And if you would pray with me to that regard, that we would have 1 practice week before Easter, that would be great. Easter's later this year, so I'm confident we can do it, but April's the goal, and my personal goal is before Easter, not on Easter. Because if we move on Easter, I'll be drinking a lot of coffee and crying in the closet. And then there's a youth leadership program that I'm trying to put together for these 3rd and 4th graders. It consists of just writing up what's going to happen so that we can communicate that with the parents. It's about getting lanyards and getting all the little pieces. So if you would love to sit down with me and brainstorm a youth leadership program and help me develop that and take lead on that, that would be fantastic. The next 3 things we need to do are check-in. So at the starting February 18th, parents will start signing their kids in electronically. I will train them on the 15th, and the next Sunday they will start electronically checking kids in. I would like to bring you to the computer and show you how to do it, because we will soon have team t-shirts. You will all be a sea of purple. So we will have team t-shirts, and because you will be wearing a GraceKids t-shirt, someone will assume you know how to do all things GraceKids. Like right now we're kind of in camouflage. We come in our pretty blouses, but once you're wearing the shirt, people will know you're on GraceKids, and so they will ask you. And I would love for you to be able to problem solve a little bit, and if you can't, then you come get Beth, or you come get. So there will be someone assigned to the check-in kiosk. That will be their job. They're the check-in coordinator, leader, everybody's a leader. So they'll be the check-in leader, and they will stay there, and they will be helping parents sign in. The kids will get 3 tags. The computer will spit out 3 stickers. The first sticker will go on the child's back. It has their name, it has an identification number, it has their allergies, it has any restrictions. So if the parent does not want us to change their diaper, they want to do it themselves. They do not want us to take them to the bathroom, they want to do that themselves. It has little symbols for each of those things, and then you will have a cheat sheet as to what those symbols mean. So, and it doesn't change from week to week. This kid has an allergy, every week he's gonna have that symbol on his sticker. So you'll get to know, you'll get familiar with it pretty quickly. 1 sticker goes on the kid, 1 sticker goes on the attendance sheet. So in every classroom there will be a clipboard, there will be a bunch of squares, and the family will bring you the kid with the extra tag. That is your sign-in. That is the way that you will take attendance. You'll put the sticker on your clipboard, and then the parent takes the 3rd tag with them to service. That has the number on it, so if you need anything from the parent, if you need a bathroom trip, or if a child starts bleeding because of a bloody nose or whatever, if you need a parent, then we will have a service coordinator walking our hallway. Remember our awesome hall? We'll have a service coordinator out in the hallway. You'll say, hey, I need parent 6105. And they, on their walkie-talkie, will call up to the sound booth. The sound booth will punch in 6105. And on the bottom right corner of the screen in the adult service, the number 6105. And then some parent is going to stand up. So don't do it often, like don't do it if you don't need to. But some parent's going to stand up and do the walk of shame. And I mean, they're going to be like trying to get out. The numbers are random, so every week the child will have a different number, so parents don't need to memorize that number. It just every week it's a different number. The reason for that is so someone who is not the parent can't memorize the number and come and say, I don't have my tag, but it's kid number 6105. And you're like, oh, well, they know the number, they must know the kid. But someone could sit in service and memorize the numbers. Or they could look at the tag, or they could pick up your tag. And so, I mean, the best line of defense is knowing faces. But in addition to faces, these tags will help you'll match up the number. So when the parent comes back, they need to come back with their tag to pick up their child. You will take their check out tag and you will match it up to the check-in tag. So child's check-in is over here with a blank space over here. You put the check-in tag next to it so that you can see everybody's been checked out.
If they lose their tag, do we have to take the kids home with us?
Yes. Yes. And so to train our parents, because this is really important, and all of the parents will agree that this safety procedures, unfortunately, in today's day and age, are necessary. Many of you went on lockdown a couple months ago. We had something in the building that just didn't pass the gut check. The gut check is a real thing that I trust, and I put a lot of stock in the gut check. Something didn't pass the gut check, and so we locked down. And so the parents saw that, the parents know that, the parents are excited for this increase in safety and security here. So I think they will learn quickly, but if they don't, the way we train parents to bring their tags is the first time they don't bring their tag, you have to make a big deal about it. Let me go get Miss Beth. And that's a planned hesitation. That's a planned stutter. That's a planned, like, making it a big deal. Like, I can't give you the child. You don't have your tag. Let me go get Miss Beth. And so you come and you get me or the service coordinator, and you kind of have to make a big deal about it at first. Like, I don't know if I can give you my kid. And they're going to be like, what are you talking about? It's my kid. Like, look at our faces. Like, Brianna's my mini me. And you're going to be like, you need your tag. And so for the first couple weeks and months, we'll have to make a big deal about it. But if you recognize the person who handed you the child, definitely give their child back so we can go home. And so at the end of the day, I'm only going to give the child back to the person who gave me the child. So what we're trying to avoid there is scary Uncle Fred coming and picking up the kid. So if Bethany drops off Fiona and Andrew shows up and says, I don't have my tag, but I'm Fiona's dad. Well, I need your tag. I don't have the tag. My wife has the tag. Okay, go get your wife. We'll wait. You just smile. We'll wait. Okay. And it feels rude. It feels over the top. It feels inconvenient. It is inconvenient, but that is the way we are showing them love. It will not feel loving at first, but when we have to go on lockdown because scary Uncle Fred is in the building, then they're going to be like, oh, thank you for not handing my child to just anybody. So we'll get flack for it sometimes.
Yeah, because in the nursery, a lot of times the different parent or a sister or somebody else.
Now, if I give Andrew my tag, Andrew can go, that's on the parent, if they give each other the tag. And so the one breakdown in this system, and that is where you are the child's best advocate and the best safety defense, is a parent drops a tag and scary Uncle Fred picks up the tag. That is, so they have to be responsible for their tag. Like, I plan on taking my sticker off and putting it on my person so it doesn't fall out of my pocket. They will figure out a system, but in the first couple weeks they won't have a good system for how they're going to keep track of their stickers, and so they will be losing their stickers, and it'll be mayhem for a couple weeks, but they'll figure it out. They will get a system for their stickers, and then spring will come. They won't have their coat and their coat pocket, and they'll have to figure out a new system. Sign-ups. On the back table, there's a sheet with the 5 different groups. So I'd love you to put down your number 1 group and your number 2 group. If you are like, I only have 1 group, just put your name on that one line. But if you're like, I'm kind of flexible, I like the punks and I like the babies, like, put your name on both and just put number 1 or number 2 next to your name. And then there is a stack of index cards out there for you to write notes to parents. If there's something you would love to say to parents through my voice instead of yours, whether it is encouragement or adult up, parents, like whatever, right? So we need to tell parents both. We need to say, you are doing a stellar job. You're a great parent. God has designed you for this. You're doing a great job. Keep going. And then we need to say, adult up, you are responsible for their spiritual well-being. So they need to hear both messages, and if there's something you would like to say to parents through my voice, not yours, I will adult up and say it for you. So there's little cards out there. You can write a note to the parent. So at that point, we're gonna go, I'll show you checkout, you'll sign up, you'll write cards to parents if you have something to say. Nothing to say, don't write a card. And then I'd like us to go into the rooms, and we have, let's see, nursery, preschool, SwitchPoint. Okay, so I would like to have nursery pray together, and then preschool and SwitchPoint will pray together. And the 3 things I would love to pray for the kids to love God and love others. Don't make it more complicated than that. We want our babies to love God and love others. And if they love God and love others, that's what everything else hangs on. Pray for our families to prioritize God in their life. We have lots of kids who are coming, the parents aren't even saved. The parents don't prioritize God. God is not a big deal in their world. Sports is more of a priority than God. So pray for our families to prioritize God. And then for our ministry, pray for 100 souls for Jesus. It's been my goal for 2 years, still praying for 100 souls that God would allow us to invest in. And I think last year we had about 70 that came through our doors. All the visitors, like some were one time, but I would love 100 kids in 1 year. And this year with Ministry Tracker, we'll be able to track it better, but I would love, and not to say that there'll be 100 that'll stick and stay, but I would love 100 kids to come through our doors that we have had the opportunity to love on and invest in. All right, let's go out and I'll show you how to check in. Even though you will be wearing team t-shirts, I want you to learn how to do this. It's super simple.